I mean, it's a tough life, and it's not always easy to navigate the city, to be happy here, to be able to afford a place. You need your friends and a new kind of family to be supportive of each other. And I think nobody understands this more than people who move to cities where they are alone.
ചേച്ചി ഞാൻ ഇറങ്ങോ വീട്ടിൽ കാണാം.
സിസ്റ്ററിന്റെ റൂംമേറ്റിനെ ഈടായിട്ട് എന്തൊക്കെയോ ഒരു മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചായിരുന്നു? അവളൊരു പയ്യനുമായിട്ട് ഇഷ്ടത്തില.
Hi everyone, it's Sailesh Ram, AsianCultureVulture.com. We're with the amazing PAYAL Kapadia, who made the film All We Imagine Is Light, which won the Grand Prix in Cannes, a historic achievement. Payal, welcome to Asian Culture Vulture. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Thank you for having me.
It's fantastic to be such an honour to have the Grand Prix winner here with us in London.
We met in Cannes as
We
well.
We did. It was a round table, so it wasn't quite the same. But how does it feel to come to the BFI? Here we are in the BFI in London, and your film, obviously the trail it's blazed since May. How does that? Have you had a chance to reflect?
I'm just really grateful actually, because these are all institutions that I've always looked up to, films that have been distributed by the BFI or the BFI festival. We always looked at it as students, and I had a lot of admiration for the films that were there and the filmmakers that were there. So I feel really happy.
Great. I don't know whether you would have come across the controversy about the film not being selected as India's entry for the Oscars. How do you feel about that? Any thoughts?
I mean, there are a lot of films getting made in India, and I'm happy that the film that they chose is by Kiran Rao, and I really like her films, and so I'm happy. It's good.
So I want to take you back to just after you'd completed A Night of Knowing Nothing, and this move from, I mean, I know it's a little bit hybrid, but move into more kind of classic narrative fiction. Was that very a conscious decision, or can you explain your thought process into wanting to make a film like All We Imagine Is Light?
I started making All We Imagine Is Light many years ago. It took 6 years, and
Right.
I was doing the other film at the same time. And the film school I studied in, we had both fiction and non-fiction, but a lot of emphasis on fiction. So I was always thinking about making this fiction movie, but I think that making the non-fiction between kind of liberated my mind from what is fiction and what is non-fiction, and how these kind of juxtaposed together create something in my mind, and that really made me feel more free as a filmmaker.
Well, I think it really works in A Night of Knowing Nothing, and again, it's quite cinema verite in the beginning of your film. With that, again, that's you were just shooting on the streets of Mumbai. I mean, that must have been quite tricky.
I mean, it's the way I like to work. For me, like the most free way is to just go with my camera person and shoot with a small camera. And I don't think that in cinema we really have the skill to be better than reality. Reality gives us so much more that I don't think the human mind can even imagine the possibilities.
Right.
So for me, it's a great thrill and joy to be able to work like that. And sometimes we had the big camera, but we were hidden inside a car, and we were just driving everywhere
It
like
really
this.
works. It's beautiful, that opening shot. I mean, it really puts you into Mumbai. So tell us also about the characters. I mean, the two nurses from Kerala. Was that a very conscious decision to have the characters from? I mean, it's a story partly about migration from what I saw, and I think that will connect with a lot of us. But was it why Kerala? Or was that coincidental, or was it something that you thought about very consciously?
To, like you said, make a film about people who are not from the region or not from Mumbai, but have made it their home. And the film, I wanted to situate it in a hospital, because I felt that there were a lot of things that I could explore in this hospital space beyond the story. So, and my kind of entry point into the space had been making friends with some of the nurses who had come to work there, and they happened to be from Kerala. So I said, even though I don't speak the language, let me try and see how it goes. So I decided that they should be from Kerala, and it's I think I kind of had this ulterior motive also, because it's a state where they watch a lot of movies and they make great films, and they
Yeah.
also have like an openness to art house cinema. So I felt that let's go with it.
It would work on many different levels. And then actually working with actors and working in another language. Can you explain the language? Because I think a lot of people who don't know any Indian languages will probably not quite appreciate the nuances.
I feel like in a city like Mumbai, we hear so many languages. You travel by the train, you'll hear Kutchi, Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi, Bhojpuri, and Tamil. So it's impossible, I feel, to make a film about this city without, having some recognition that there are people from all over the country who have come here and made it. It's a place of opportunity for so many. And because I wanted the film to also be about Mumbai, I felt this was a characteristic I wanted to highlight, because I feel language has a dual aspect to it. Because for one character, like Dr. Manoj in the film, for him not knowing Hindi becomes like an alienating factor, and it's really hard. And I think it's true of a lot of Malayalis.
Yeah.
Because when I studied in FTI, I had friends, I had classmates from all over the country, and it was not always easy for them to manage to understand and speak a language. So it can be alienating and it can be difficult, but it's also like a way to create privacy, because you and your friend who speak only that language can break into that language and no one else will understand you, and you can say some funny stuff.
Yes.
So I like this kind of duality of language that exists in our culture.
Okay. And Mumbai itself, it's a character very much in that beginning, and Monsoon. What did you really want to say about Mumbai?
It is a city of opportunity. It is a place that could be giving you something more in terms of opportunity than where you're back home. So in that sense, it's also kind of liberating. You can be anonymous and you can appreciate more things, and there are things to see, and this cities have that feeling. But it's also, I mean, it's a tough life, and it's not always easy to navigate the city, to be happy here, to be able to afford a place. You need your friends and a new kind of family to be supportive of each other. And I think nobody understands this more than people who move to cities where they are alone, because it's the new networks you make that kind of allow you to be somewhat happy.
And do you think that the city has a different atmosphere in Monsoon?
Yeah.
That's very conscious in the as a viewer of the film. So again, you really wanted to get that across.
The monsoon is a very particular time in Mumbai and in the western coast, I think, of India. Like, everything changes. It becomes like this torrential rain and cloudy feeling, and it's this weird hot and cold weather. You're sweaty also, but in Mumbai, the rain can cause a lot of problems. It causes buildings to collapse because it's so heavy, the rain sometimes, and it's really horrible. Water gets filled up, and there's not like, the city is quite low lying, so some places get completely submerged. We've all seen images of that. And traveling by train, the train stop for some reason, always the Harbour line, which is in the film. I mean, so it's really hard, I think, when the city is kind of taken hostage by the rain sometimes.
And I love the way that when you get to the coast, Ratnagiri, and the light. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people, but can you talk a little bit about? And that's why the film has I think the film has the title it is, because the light is very important, and everything changes when they go on holiday.
Light and the environment and the feeling of time, all these things, I think, influence one's mood and feeling of things. I guess that's why we take holidays.
Indeed.
So yeah, it was something that I thought about a lot.
Yeah. how much is a kind of real and imagined? Because there is one scene that I think plays a lot with that, and
I very much wanted to go deeper into an internal landscape, not just an external mise-en-scene of the space. And the internal landscape of anybody is quite wobbly, and it's full of dreams, fantasies, and it's complex, the inner landscape. And that's kind of what I wanted
You wanted to
to
reflect.
talk about.
Yeah.
Because for me, there's a lot of things that the character, she needs to deal with inside herself before she can confront others in her outside world. So I felt this could be one way to address it.
I think watching it again, the music, how did you put the music together? You know, what was it? It's very beautiful, and I remember in Cannes my colleague saying I'd love to buy the soundtrack of this film because it's such a range, and it has really adds to the film, I think.
Yeah, I love to have different kinds of music, and it's such a music can be such a wonderful things in film. And I discovered the music of Emma Hoysege Mariam Gebru, who was a nun from Ethiopia, and she passed away last year, and she has an incredible body of work. I didn't know of her. Then my editor introduced me to her, and for me, her music gave me this feeling of reverie that sometimes one feels when one is in love. So I felt it would be nice to use it. And the other music is by an Indian musician. His name is Topshe, and he's like an independent musician who does. I really like how he mixes melancholy and kind of a very in deep sense of melancholy without feeling heavy. And I really admire his work, so I asked him to start working on the film like 2 years ago, and he's been working on it since then. So we had a very nice working process.
And now having it being screened in Cannes, and I don't know how many countries it had a release in Kerala, I think, just now. What's the reaction that has most surprised you?
I was actually most happy because I think some audiences in Kerala really related to a lot of different nuances in the film and a lot of different layers that I think only people from India could relate to, and that made me really happy.
And so how does it feel to get a UK release with the BFI? I mean, it's a little bit after the festival. It must be very encouraging, you know, in terms of your future filmmaking, which I also want to ask you about. But just comment a little bit about getting a UK release, and will it be getting a US release?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm really happy that it's going to be released by the BFI, and in the US by Janus and Sideshow, which are both whenever they've distributed films, both these organizations have always admired those films. So I feel very grateful to be also part of it. And what is also good is that the film will have a longer life. It's not just about this release, but there will be, you know, it will stay somewhere in an archive. And what more can a filmmaker ask for?
Yeah, absolutely. And what of the future? Are you beginning to work on something? Have you already started, or where
I'm
are you in
beginning
the
to
process?
work on a film that's also based in Mumbai. And because while I was working on the previous film, there was a lot of questions that came up in my mind.
Right.
And I want to kind of make a film that digs deep into the very short history of the city.
Oh, okay, right. Do they have a title?
Not yet.
No. Yeah. And you want to stay making films in India? Is that you must have already been approached about, you know, films elsewhere and projects maybe a bit further down the line? I don't know.
I think I'm not done with making films
Right.
about Mumbai specifically.
Mumbai, right.
So maybe at some point I will be wanting to explore other things. But right now I'm very much interested in making more films.
Excellent. And what would you like to say as a final thing to people who are interested? It's very difficult to see it in the LFF because the tickets are like gold dust. But obviously, when the release comes out, what would you like to say to a British audience?
the film is about being in a city that you are not from and making friendships that become your family. And the film is kind of giving a possibility of a new kind of family, which is of your friends. So I think a lot of people would relate to it, I hope at least.
In London, that absolutely, because another big city where often you're sharing a flat or a house with people you don't know.
Yes.
And it's exactly the same. And we've all been in that situation where friendships develop. Some fall by the wayside, some you keep, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
very much.
Thank you. Take care. All the best.
Thank you.
ആൾക്കാരെ നമുക്കറിയാം തോന്നുന്നു, പക്ഷെ നല്ലതാവാൻ വലിയ സമയമൊന്നും വേണ്ട.